that you're referring to, and saying, how do your panelists interpret such incidents going forward? What is EC declaring as results for a polling station like that? There's a video showing some of the fracas that was happening there. James Salemi, Ismail Mande in Kabende, thank you for watching the show. James Salemi says, Parliament should scrap multi-party politics in Uganda and go back to the original movement system. What's democracy? There's no point in wasting millions of taxpayers' money in an exercise that's going to get journalists killed with no corrective measures from security officials. Journalism is not a crime. A journalist must report the news the way it is, uncensored, accurate, verifiable, and professionally. James Alemi, an ardent follower of the show. This is someone called Joshua Mafabi. He's from Umbale. He says, it's immoral, inhumane, and beats basic logic. What happened in Kawempe cannot be defended. The actions of the men in uniform. And he says, this does not call for too much English to defend. But you have, yes, that attacks on non-partisan groups like journalists are being unjustifiable. The message is fair along. This is so regrettable and there is nothing to defend about it, but to be kind and remorseful. This is Joshua Mafabi from Mbale. We'll pick Scholar Itanga. Thank you for watching the show. And Dr. Grace Lubale and another viewer, I think, from Mbarara have complained about frequent power outages and say it's difficult to follow TV properly because power outages are a bit on the increase and they've been disrupting viewership and following of programs like this. Let's come to the broader debate about Kawempe North. Why and what made the stakes so high?
Okay. One, as you quote the elders, there is also another elder who sent me messages during the day. I think he has been following the politics in the Kawempe North and also what was happening. And he said, Honorable, please ask the journalists if press freedom includes trespass, if press freedom includes harassment of security agents. Does press freedom include promoting regime change? Does press freedom include propaganda and giving fake news? No. Does press freedom include bribery to journalists? And he says journalists should abide by the law and regulations and stop harassing security personnel. I think he was watching what has been going on. Then he even made a comment on one of your colleagues here. He said the NBS anchor Canary is claiming that the security organs are protecting NRM and harassing the opposition. He needs a strong warning and NBS should do something about it. This is somebody from outside watching. So while we sympathize with the journalists who had this backlash, but I think also there is a call on you, the journalists, to always be professional as you cover these events. Do not show partisanship.
Yes, let's pick a man like Isano. Isano doesn't give commentary. He only takes photographs. So how does this show partisanship? Taking photographs.
Well,
how does he?
I am just commenting on what this
I'm responding to that person and asking the question. For a photojournalist like Francis Isano, unlike a field reporter who is giving a live feed, in which live feed they might input their own opinion or interpretation of events, someone capturing photographs, how do they show patterns?
Well, like I said, I wasn't at the scene, and maybe you could have obstructed the security as they did their work. I do not know. We have to look at what exactly
his message on Canada, just a small information. Yes. And you know, I would not want to be here fighting for Canary or what, but I always want to represent the truth. Where Canary was and his team, where they were clobbered from with Francis, is that they picked Honorable Hildeman and Honorable Kayemba Solo, who had been the Electoral Commission gazetted supervisors of that place. And you saw how they picked them to drones. We have not yet got accountability of where they are up to now. So for someone to say that Kanare was not acting professionally, that is not right, because at that very venue where he was reporting that very story, agents of the National Inter-Platform had been abducted from their duty by those very security personnel who abducted and beat up those journalists at the same time.
Well,
so
me,
let's go back.
I am just reading the text.
So I wanted to give information to you such that you're not misguided.
And the text has been taken. I think
No.
the sender is watching the discussion. Please go ahead.
Absolutely.
So what raised the stakes so high? Why? What was so...
I think I can take it back to what has been happening in the country, especially as politics evolve over time. My observation is that since the beginning of the 2000s, and especially as we went into multi-party politics, there has been a tendency from some of the political actors to push a violent approach towards politics. Politics of belligerence, politics of extremism, and over time, this is growing, and I think it needs to be tamed. You find the political parties are not necessarily selling their ideologies to the population in order for the voters to compare what does NRM stand for, what does FDC stand for, what does NUP stand for, so that they have a menu to choose from. But rather, there are those who have a message that promotes defiance, that promotes belligerence, that promotes extremism. And this is what is breeding violence in our electoral processes, in my view. And therefore, if we are going to have violence-free elections, all parties, all actors in our politics must be disciplined and follow the law. You take an example in 2020, when we had chaos in the town here. What happened? We sat in the parliament. The Minister of Justice brought an instrument regarding COVID that said, let's go ahead with elections, but we shall not allow rallies. You who are going to be contesting, the candidates, the parties, you will hold meetings of a limited number of people and not rallies. And we passed it in parliament. Now, one of the candidates decides to call mammoth rallies because all candidates had the capacity to call big rallies. But like President Yoweri Museveni, we moved with him across the country. He never held a rally. He called meetings of limited numbers. Now when my brother's candidate calls a huge rally in Luka, in Busoga, now police questions him. And that's what sparked off now his supporters causing mayhem and violence. Before that, there had been now a push by people power that whoever is putting on yellow in the town should not cross. And we saw women being unaddressed in the town. Instead of saying what the people power and NUP stands for people to choose their ideology, they were pushing a violent agenda against those who are yellow. So these are the kind of actions we must condemn. Why should any political actor behave in a manner that promotes violence? I think it takes all of us, the actors, the political players, to really be disciplined, to follow the law. Being a political candidate, being a party with support does not immunize you against the law. We must follow the law and all condemn this kind of... Lastly,
yes.
Now bring it to Kawempe North here. You saw NUP, for instance, in the preparation for this election. They held a parade with the uniform, red uniform. It was public. And basically, if you listened to the messages and what they were saying, they declared war. I have, during break, showed you a footage of one of the foot soldiers saying, we are going to get pangas and cut all those who support NRM. On record, in the public. And NUP, as a party, never came out to condemn that party member. So these are things also which provoke security to come in and protect all of us, because the state has a duty. If you say, because I am a hero, you are going to get a panga and cut my my throat and cut off my head, then the state has a responsibility to protect me who believes in NRM. So all of us must be disciplined and respect each other. If we are going to compete for political power, we should not promote violence.
I beg your indulgence, Honorable Musumba. Let me go quickly to Mufumbiro and ask you to respond. Why were the stakes so high in Kawempe, and could you respond to the minister's
I think it is the characteristic of this regime, impunity. They believe they are magnanimous with violence. The common denominator of violence from 2000, because if you say from 2000 there has been a development. In 2000 I was not yet even in active politics. We have been listening to the Ofono Pondos. Actually, our discourse in liberating this country has been out of our ardent activeness in listening to the people who had the opportunity to speak then. Looking at the constitutionalism and the fundamentals of how humans are supposed to live in a country that is equal for all. If you talk about our party being extremists, what can be more extremist than killing people of a political party?
The minister raised the concern
the minister
that
cannot be here.
Your party held a parade. Your president inspected a guard of honor, and he said the language, according to the minister, he seated next to you, the language
I did not know that we have reached a level where a country fears language. And defining which language are they talking about. Then, if they wanted to stop that, they would have arrested the leader. They would have gone after the leader, who is Chagulani Robert Sentam. I wanted to come back to what he talks about, extremism of our political party that warrants their behavior. We have not killed an NRM person. He's bragging about the actions of government in 2020. That is one of the worst history we have had. Over 54 people were murdered. And the police has come out, even new government, that 48 of these people were murdered for free. There is a lady in Bujiri who died. She was serving food at Itawa. She was going to serve lunch to the people to eat at Itawa.
What provoked those deaths?
Security can never give lame excuses of provocation to killing the citizenry. That is lack of professionalism. You must be, the reason why we pay for intelligence, the reason why we say you're supposed to be professional is that in matters of life, there must be no error. You cannot begin to look at the cause of why government killed its own citizens and citizens who did not have an offense. You go, I was listening in to Parliament. A member of Parliament from Isingiro Oibanda was giving an account of somebody who was shot at their home. That was not in Luuka. That was not in Kampala. That was in Western Uganda. It cuts across. The disrespect of human life is what gives you comfort in these atrocities that you are committing against the existentiality of people in Uganda. It is wrong. And if
I'll come back
in
to
a
you.
second on extremism, we cannot be extremists. Our ideology is anchored on the power of the people. And I have heard you so many times asking whether we have an ideology. I would invite for a debate me and you about ideology, NUP and NRM. We are anchored. I'm very available. And I've asked on this platform because it's been long since I came back here. Now, our ideology is anchored on the power of the people, empowering them. And that is in the Constitution, Article 3. And that is what we believe in. We believe that the people must have the mandate to choose how they want to. They must have the mandate to choose how they want to live, how they want to be governed. And the only last right that Ugandans have, they don't have the right to good health, because it is in shambles. They don't have the right to good infrastructure. They don't have the right to good education. The only right that Ugandans are remaining with, the only right is making a decision through democracy. And once that window is closed, you say we are extremists. We have not declared war anywhere. I would be here blazing, stating that we should go to war. I have not declared war.
Mr. Mufumbiro, could you respond to the question of why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
The stakes were so high in Kawempe North because the master with the gun does not have the support of the people. the master of the gun. You see, it is like a rich man having a very beautiful woman, but who is going out with a maid, with his shamba boy around. And she's very happy without anything. She is moving around. She's in love with the shamba boy. And
she's protesting.
And the rich man, with all his money, cannot break that relationship.
Salam, so by saying you should create a different...
Yes.
No, I said even no, maids are maids. I don't want to say that they're not.
Pick it up. Why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
Why were they so high? It's because of these inflated egos. The military ego. Who are they? Know her. You know? It is conquest. It's a psychological thing. It's conquest. We will show them. It's the mindset of a psychopath. And as OO happily said today, that if you have this majority, why fight over one? Not even mid-term, one by-election, which has only 6 months to go. Why would you deploy all this terror? So we are dealing with psychopaths. And there's also another mix of an inferiority complex. You know? And inferiority complexes reflect themselves in many ways. In tweets, in bragado, talk. It's an inferiority complex. It goes back to the backstage of your psyche.
Who is inferior to who now?
Work it out. It's only guys that do these things that suffer from this inferiority complex. Because if I'm big enough, I don't have to beat a child to death.
But is there somebody with the braggadocio than Salam Musumba?
Salam Musumba doesn't suffer from an inferiority complex. Doesn't suffer from an inferiority. She just brags about herself, but she doesn't have an inferiority complex, which tells her to walk all over everybody.
Maybe having a megalomania.
That I'm guilty of, yes. And but also lack of strategy. Or you used to be such a thorough strategist. But I'm sure they have found equivalents who don't measure mid-term, long-term, and who don't do scenario building. What this, what that. So you have a weakness in the political class. And I think it's the NRM secretariat that is useless in this picture. Because if the NRM leadership had the political map and the political strategy in their hands, they would advise the military not to give them a bad name. They would advise other arms of government not to spoil it for them, you know, to work in a subtle way. But because they have lost the plot, they are shabby. Maybe they are not even in control. So what are the stakes? The stakes was really to stamp their foot on Kampala, to stamp their foot on Buganda. We are here. Let's see what you do. Because how do you roll out military where? Going where? Descending on the people.
With
you don't
numbers,
I mean, how on earth do you do this today? And what do you gain? So, those were the stakes, as stupid as they sound. They were. Because if it isn't stupidity, what do you call this?
I want to put the same question to Ofono Pondo, but let me take a message from Harry Sagar, who says, Honorable Bariomonsi, the right thing to do now, he says, yeah, I'll read the message as it is. What Minister Bariomonsi is doing right now is called Okwekaza, defending the indefensible. Instead of justifying the brutal actions against journalists in broad daylight, I urge him to swallow his pride and apologize on behalf of the government. As the Minister of National Guidance, it's also his responsibility to guide the security personnel. He now has the opportunity here to do better, both for the safety of the press and the people of Uganda. Please, let him look into the camera and show leadership with an apology. Harry Sagara. I see. I'm coming to you in just 1 second. Let me take another message. Yes, Topisa Kiza just saying she's watching from Namungona and says, ask Honorable Chris, why is the government not responding to the post of General Muhoozi on X? He has made threatening statements too. That's Topista. Another viewer here, yes, Benjamin in Kampala says, the minister argues that there was trespass in the event of yesterday. If indeed there was nothing abnormal, why were they plucking number plates off the vehicles parked in there? Well, I don't think it's a crime to remove a number. Is it a crime to remove a number plate?
It is.
It is.
It is.
Eh?
No. It is.
What if I have a mechanic who is repairing my vehicle?
No, no.
But
yes,
number
yes.
plate is a preserved
guide
of government. You
Okay.
don't own it that it is yours because you have procured it.
No, but in my private home.
Yes.
What if a vehicle has a problem?
It was not a
No,
private.
I have
no,
invited
sir.
the
It
mechanic.
was a secured place.
Don't
for
expose
bribery.
yourself.
That place has been
No.
Guide.
I need
You
to-
are
It was
the
a criminal
minister
trespass.
in
That
charge
house
of
was a
guiding.
criminal-
Please.
You have no right to come and invade me in
Come
my
on.
home.
That place.
And you claim you are.
That place-
No, 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 no.
It was
no
a
right.
criminal
We'll check.
place
Yes, we'll
secured
check.
by NRM.
We'll
People
check what
and,
happens.
and Chris, these goons are in town. They have been celebrating
I
today.
think removing
the
a
goons
number
you
plate
used
privately
yesterday, they have been at the Winton
is an
celebrating
offense.
this evening.
To remove a number plate is an offense. Just like an electricity pole doesn't belong to you even if you pay for it. It doesn't belong to you. The number plate belongs to the government. I think it doesn't belong
You
to
can't
what?
even drive a vehicle in town
Under
when
which
you
law?
remove the
Under
number
that
plate.
it.
The Traffic and Road Safety Act should have a provision on number plates, but we'll interrogate that.
I'm not
We are
sure.
even
How about
moving to
you-
digital number plates, and
Yes.
you say that
How
it's
about
not an
you-
offense.
you
to
were
remove
the
number
regulations
plates.
under the digital number plates?
Even when you're
you can't
going
remove
to,
it. You can't tamper with
when
it.
you're going to
This
to
very
garage,
state-
you put garage numbers.
The very statement that was, even
But you
government
remove
has
the- you
numbers,
remove
it
it.
How
uses.
about
You do.
How about
Yesterday,
Mugisa is
that was
watching us and
resolved by
says,
the Minister of Internal Affairs.
what happened in Kawempe North today is indeed a shame. Is indeed a shame. And he says, I am happy OO is slowly reading the original people's script. Finally.
Yes.
Oh, he's a bright man.
Because he's dressed in blue.
Saul Mugasa,
I will.
Saul Mugasa, thank you for watching the show. Ivan Okuda says, thanks for the show. The stakes and cost of political competition continue to increase with every election cycle in Uganda. We now have an entire generation of Ugandans that have been schooled
Is that the Okuda who rings people?
by the 1986 class that politics is a game of might of guns over ideas, might of violence over persuasion, might of terror over building consensus. In the end, we are sowing seeds of more cycles of violence that will take several generations to break. We need a new consensus as a nation, but who will bail the cat? Well, why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
There has never been any by-election where the stakes are not high. Look at the last 3 by-elections we had in Serere. Similar things played out. Look at Dokolo. Dokolo was a little tampered. Look at Oyam. We had similar things.
Soroti City.
Look at Kisoro, where NRM is very dominant. You remember that 2 MPs went into hiding, NRM MPs. Internal contestation turned violent, bribery, and so on. So, partly there is increasingly bad manners in the NRM, really. Loss of direction, sense of entitlement, which I have said many times, I've written, if we don't, as NRM, decisively deal with, for the time being, NRM, the people of Uganda, majority of them are willing to give the NRM the benefit of the doubt, especially because of historical relevance, the success that the leadership of President Yoweri Museveni has brought to the country. Don't mind what Mufumbro says, that roads are in shambles. He says 30 years, 38 years, he was born in this government. He speaks good English. He's a professional. A bad education.
He never studied from outside Uganda.
A bad education doesn't give you that good that English
for me,
and
I'm
intellect.
an Obote product.
Yes, I'm not saying Obote education was bad. I'm saying NRM has improved that Obote education, first of all, by making it accessible. Yes, by making it accessible. So, what are the stakes? I think partly impunity by the NRM group, but also by the opposition. If you listen to Mufumbiro and Honorable Salam, you clearly see people of unbridled arrogance.
Is that impunity?
I'm saying impunity and arrogance, unbridled. So, since 2017, when we amended the Constitution, remember this is where things actually started spiraling out of control. After the Salam Musumbazi lost the amendment on age limit.
2004.
No, I'm saying 2017 particularly.
Okay.
The age limit thing. There are groups, particularly in Buganda, that made Buganda constituencies, Buganda villages, social functions, no-go area to NRM MPs, NRM politicians who had supported that amendment. And because of some consideration, the state allowed them. That climaxed in 2020, 2021, when these groups tried to make Buganda a no-go area. And if you look at the posture of NUP, that's what they have been driving at, to make sure that the next election, especially here where they think they have a majority, they are trying to do so. And therefore, Kawempe, they were using it as a test ground. I think the state machinery, particularly intelligence, sexed up the intelligence.
Can you use another word?
That's a better word for you and me. You know it. Sexing up. So, I think they fabricated, but they also put salt in that intelligence, overstating the intelligence about what NUP and other mischievous groups were planning. I think this is what, and I think this informed the deployment we saw throughout this campaign and the confrontation. Thirdly, you know, I'm talking about the stakes.
Yes.
We have made elections and entering parliament a place for earning. So many people spend a lot of resources. Because you ask, why would 10 or 12 people run for one seat for 7 months? And each of them is spending and saying they want to go there, earning for 7 months. Why? Because somebody saw that if I enter, the likelihood of coming back in 2026 January election probably is high. Fourthly, I think from our side, there are people who sold a false story that they can turn the tide in favor of NRM, and therefore were willing to go out of their way to turn that tide, oblivious of the democratic credentials NRM is supposed to show. And so they ended up where we have ended. But in my view, all is not lost. We make mistakes, we learn. We make mistakes, we learn. It is only people who do nothing, who don't make mistakes. I think, and Honorable Barrio Musandai, I don't think we have defended. And you have localized it as assault on the journalists. No, nobody should be assaulted when we are doing a democratic process like elections. We shouldn't usurp the authority of the Electoral Commission. We shouldn't. But for you have localized in the journalists. How about the beating or the roughing up of Narukola?
A candidate.
A candidate
Or on nomination day?
On nomination day. He had even done nothing. Why was he roughed up?
They commanded him not to use his vehicle.
Two. How about today, even after polling, people vandalizing polling station and scattering polling materials, voting papers, ballots that have been already counted? Why would that happen? So for me, I don't just want to. Yes, the assault and injury caused on journalists, yes, is frightening. But I think nobody should be assaulted for elections.
Thank you.
On elections. So the stakes are heightened are raised because of different considerations. Some people could have eaten money of candidates and wanted to show that we can give you victory. Yes, it is possible.
But you also know that overstated intelligence is to get out operational funds.
Yes, overstated intelligence.
To complete their estates.
Because ask yourself, and I don't agree with the Mufumbro, even if you suspected that premise, somebody was committing an offense there, you report the police, you stay on watch, you don't go and invade somebody's property. Supposing Senyonyi had been beaten by the owner or by the askaris, the askaris but that owner could be armed with the panga, could be armed with the gun, and Senyonyi has no right to enter anybody's premise by himself. In fact, he was like, if it had been me, he wouldn't have left there alive. Mufumbiro, if you tried to come to my home because you are a candidate, because you are leader of opposition, I can dare you. You may not live there alive. So I think we need to respect. You don't live above the law simply because you are the leader of opposition in parliament. You don't live above the law because you're a journalist.
Hold it, Mr. Mufumbiro.
Yes.
We're supposed to take a break. I'll give you opportunity to respond, but I'll take a message from Ivan Namanya, who says the growing trend of labeling the media as enemies of security is alarming, especially
of course there's embedded
in the country. He says journalists are not adversaries, but partners in ensuring transparency, accountability, and development. Attempts to silence the press only serves to undermine democracy and the public rights to information. Let it be known that no intimidation will erase the truth. One day, those who abuse their power will have to answer for their actions. I also take a message from, let me see, there's so many messages. I can't take too many. Tom Mugara says it's balanced debate for both government and opposition, and the voters to learn. We shall build on this to have better elections in 2026. And says Jambo to Salam Musumba. This is Tom Mugara.
Thank you.
Watching us. There's a message I wanted to pick from Andrew Irumba somewhere. Mugume Croch, police and the army should be taken to court for the brutality against Ugandans and journalists. Apologizing to the media is not enough. It's just an election, not a war. I took your message. Let me pick one message before I take a break. Yes. Security maiming and beating up journalists movement, Farida Nambi Chigongo, and from the National Unity Platform, Nalukola Luyimbazi, I think that's the name?
Yes.
Luyimbazi Nalukola. You had from the Democratic Party, Kasacha Henry. You have from the Forum for Democratic Change, Sadat Muchibi. I think Sadat Muchibi, Khalifa Aganaga, contesting from there. You have an independent NUP-leaning candidate. Who's that? From the other, not in Sereko. NUP-leaning, the one who had the NUP colors all over, but he's an independent, out of the 9 candidates.
Most of them did not come back. I cannot
Pardon?
recollect that one.
Eh?
I cannot recollect him. Most of them didn't come back.
There is somebody called Lufa. Yes.
Hey, Alex.
Yes.
Alex is called Alex.
Alex Lufa?
Alex
Luswa. Alex Luswa, yes. Alex Luswa.
Yes.
Among the 9 candidates, there's an interesting one in the debate that was conducted here. Somebody called in Sereko. Yes. So 9 candidates contested in that by-election. They're only going to be in parliament for a few months before we go to the nomination to run for the 2026 general election. But the stakes were high. Mufumbiro, I didn't get your view on why the stakes were so high in Kawempe now. Why?
You something else.
I went up that
Yes,
side, but
something else.
the sum up is about impunity, and I would fully concur with Honorable Salam Musumba that also the issue of inferiority complex of those that are in charge of power. They feel that it dawns on them, it ends with them. The rest are not, they want to prove that they are in charge. And that desire to prove that they are in charge, I think they are out of their way. They are leading the country into a very, very dark zone where all of us it will be impossible to manage.
Somebody called,
recovery.
Okay, Michael Bagonza is watching us, says, I'm happy Ofono Pondo is presenting a very mature and balanced argument. Michael Bagonza.
His first
Honorable Salam says so also.
I am also saying so.
Julius,
Yes.
Julius Musime wants the minister to answer. He says, if you trespass on my property, can I beat you up and you go scot-free?
Who beating who?
You know, if you trespass on my property and I beat you up, do I go scot-free? What you call trespass?
I think I can. I would have a reasonable ground to defend myself in self-defense.
No. And the issue of the home, if I may be permitted to give more information as one who has information, that place has not been a home. And it is very adjacent to a police post. It has been a vacant house. That was rented, because we also receive intelligence. That was rented by pseudo people.
That's what you suspect.
No, these are the facts on ground, because journalists went there. And when they rented the place, they were using it for criminality. Now, the law permits any serious Ugandan to stop criminality, even without police. You can stop the criminality, and then report. For example, I am permitted to arrest Dr. Wariomunsi if he's doing something illegal.
What criminality did they find there?
They were plucking off number plates from vehicles, which is contrary to section, I think, 108 of our Traffic Road Safety Act. They were having pre-ticked ballots.
No.
They were having goons who are throwing stones back to the people.
No.
Now, a day before, let me speak. A day before.
Hold it a moment. No. You suspect these illegal activities were taking place?
Yes.
The minister challenges you and says,
yes,
your responsibility. The leader of opposition, Joel Senyonyi, the secretary general of NUP, because they were together,
yes,
David Lewis Rubongoya, should have called in the police.
No, they were police officers. If you listen to...
Yes.
No, let me speak. If you listened to Dr. Chris Varomos here, he told you, first of all, he lied, that journalists were shielding Joel Senyonyi. The journalist that is...
And which crime is that?
And it is not a crime, but he lied. The journalist who's lying on the floor, actually, the person who rushes to help that journalist, one is Joel Senyonyi. So there is no way a shield would be lying on the floor down. Secondly, that journalist was hit by a stone from inside. So it meant that there were even stones that had been collected and canes, because we have all been here. You know what happened with the 2010.
I have seen a video. I have seen a video circulating of a gentleman climbing to the yawn of that property, saying he was invaded and he was robbed.
No, that is another DC. He was lying. He's called Seruwaji, the person who was speaking. He's another DC. He was lying. The other RDC who was there is the one who was led.
Don't you think the storming of that property was a bit reckless on the part of the leader of opposition? The election wasn't taking place yesterday.
No, it was not.
You picked up some intelligence.
It is the duty. It is the duty of the citizenry. It is the duty of the citizens. It is my duty. If I find criminality happening, I am supposed to stop it and later also inform the police. And that was done.
He walked in and he was recorded on camera.
Yes. He did not walk in alone. He did not walk in alone.
He's working with his security as leader of opposition.
Because the law is clear. You are a suspect until proven guilty.
No, what happens?
That is the law. But it does not stop from inquiring on suspicion. And this is a national election. Joel is a national leader. A national leader. You have seen, you have seen ministers going to properties.
Let Dr. respond.
You have the Minister of Land, Sam Mayanja. He's always visiting properties here and there. A person at the level of Joel Senyonyi, if he finds that an illegality is going forward, it should be his duty to intervene and then inform
report later.
security. Yes.
Dr. Mariomose.
No, that's not correct.
And
Whether
it is
you
the
are-
law, by the
whether
way.
you are
But
leader of
there's
opposition,
what
which
they
law?
call
No.
a citizen's arrest.
Citizens arrest. We have
First of all,
community
what is that
policing.
This is private property occupied by a citizen. Now, the leader of opposition, because he has a lead car and a government vehicle, he comes. There is a gate manned by a guard. So when he comes, I think the guard didn't even inquire who this one is. He thought maybe he's a minister, is
No,
a
he
government
thought he
official.
was one of them.
And
Yeah,
open
he
his
had
for him.
come still with them.
The thief,
So
that's
now, Joel Senyonyi and the Secretary General Noop, they are accompanied by
The press.
LOP's security and the two Kanyamaz who are in plain clothes. And then a swarm of
And the press.
and
not
a swarm
Kanyama.
of press. No, you had two Kanyamaz. I got the briefing of what happened there. Now they start harassing the people they find inside. I have to find out actually who was plucking off the number plate, because there was an allegation that is that those Kanyamaz, the two Kanyamaz who came with Joel, who were actually trying to vandalize the vehicle. I am saying I will find out. This is the briefing I got. And then a fracas
But
now
really,
ensues.
really, Minister in charge of national
No.
guidance. You sound so ignorant.
No, just
And
hold
yet
on.
he should
Casual.
be
Just hold
informed.
on.
He
That's
should
Now
be
a
informed
fracas.
on an
Now there
hourly
is.
basis.
Just hold on. Now a confrontation ensues. So I want to insist. This was a criminal trespass. Whether you are a leader of opposition or a government minister like myself, I can't just intrude into your private home simply because I'm a
Honorable
government
Minister,
minister.
if it is
No.
indeed true as Waso has argued and Joel was claiming in that
First of all, did
video.
the media
If-
show the predicted ballot papers?
if it
They were stolen.
No.
And
what
shot
criminality
out
was
of the
there?
premises.
The Electoral Commission, at least via its spokesperson Julius Mchunguzi, our colleague, did preliminary investigation and issued its findings. Said Joel Senyonyi lied. There were no people taking ballots there. That's the statement of the Electoral Commission.
But Muchunguzi,
Yes.
and to
Muchunguzi-
give you information
Really?
still on
You
Muchunguzi,
guys.
yesterday,
Muchunguzi-
the
Muchunguzi is the spokesperson.
the commissioner,
please.
the
Muchunguzi,
commissioner
no.
of the electoral commission,
You don't believe because it's Mchunguzi?
Biabakama,
Because
said,
of the name, or what?
he said
Even that.
that there were no predict
that.
ballot papers.
Even that. I'll
That
be
was
honest.
an affirmation
What if
that
it was
there
Musumba?
were no predict.
What
Ballot
if it was
papers.
Today,
He's
Balam
not- he's not Musumba, he's
Barugahare
Muchunguzi.
was moving around with predict ballot
No.
papers.
He arrested a new
now,
agent.
let me ask you-
it is impossible.
No,
hold it a minute.
Doctor, there is heaven
He
after
arrested
earth.
somebody.
At least work for heaven.
new person with the plate.
Which new person? He was never. That is not a new person.
Hold it.
And
When Senyonyi and team walk out of that property,
they are chased out of the property.
yes, did they find, were they able to pick some evidence of what they claimed was happening there?
Now, one of the purposes why you would go to such a place, first of all, is to stop them from that criminality. If you revisit that video,
No, but
the first.
if you walk out and you don't have evidence to show,
No, you are chased out.
hold a minute, and
Yes.
someone says you invaded my private property and I chased you out.
They were
What's
chased-
your defense?
The point is that they were chased out by mercenaries, by goons, and by security,
No, why-
which was
why-
acting criminally against Section 108.
What is the evidence?
The evidence is clear. There is a RAV4 black which number plate was plucked off against the orders of the Minister of Internal Affairs.
You are the one who just said
Yes.
you are innocent until
Proven guilty. Yes.
Why are you classifying people as goons?
Their behavior, the behavior is clear. The behavior of a goon is
So you are the one to
A goon-
you are the one to
no. A goon is an English word. It is not.
yeah,
It is
of
not.
course,
It is not an
Rusoga.
indictment.
It
It
is not
is a
Rusoga.
behavior when somebody
it
behaves.
is not Rusoga either. It's not Rusoga, but I think you get mixed up with Rusoga.
Not at all.
No, and
Because
Basoga
you-
knows so much.
you-
I was
you-
at
you-
Victoria Nile Primary School.
you cannot
know,
say-
you already said I know
Yeah.
English.
You cannot say you are innocent until proven.
That's the law.
Now,
of Uganda.
you are calling them criminals. You are calling them goons. What is the basis of this classification you are giving them?
Now, goons is the way they behave. Goons is not criminality. Goons is the character, the way you behave.
Description.
It's description. It's descriptive.
How about,
I am describing.
How about you who has invaded the person and you a goon?
No, you cannot be a goon. You yourself have defined somebody who has gone into a place unwarranted as a trespasser, so you cannot have the same names. That is on your own English accord. No, but let me get to where I am saying. Goons, first of all, they don't identify themselves. They cover themselves in masks.
No, let's not get
I'm
lost.
describing goons.
Let's not get
they
lost.
hold sticks and stones.
Let's not get lost in English.
Because
that word can be used on either side.
It is not an indictment.
Those who storm into private property, shouting and saying you are engaged in criminal activity without evidence, could be described as that. The people they find there, if they were engaged in something or how they respond, could be described.
The evidence was visual.
Hold it.
Let me finish it here. Because you're saying there was no evidence. The evidence, if you played that video here, it was visual.
So they found people.
Practically, they found security operatives plucking off and other people plucking off number plates from vehicles, contrary to the directive of the Minister of Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, in Parliament. Now you are trying to criminalize somebody who was enforcing a position of government, a legal position that there will be no numberless.
Were they on a traffic enforcement exercise?
No, it's not about traffic. This was an election where it had been already determined and discussed in Parliament that numberless vehicles are actually causing havoc in Kawempe North. And it was incumbent against us who are guarding the election. Who did what?
If you found it on the road being driven,
that was part of our investigation. No. That was part of our investigation. And mind you, not only that vehicle, many vehicles were entering there. Their numbers plucked off, and then they get out. And this was from the neighborhood. A neighborhood has responsibility
do you have
to report.
Do you have a necessary reference at a police station?
What?
Do you have a complaint at a police station recording that?
We don't only have a complaint at the police station. We also have a complaint with the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
Because as members of the National Unity Platform, it is our duty in an election to report to the Electoral Commission.
What if actually it was true that they could have rented a property for ulterior motives? Would you rule that out?
Which one?
That some people could have rented that property to conduct illegal activities in it.
We're not discussing ifs like the primary school, if 1, if 2, if 3. This is a private property
but you see,
owned by a private individual. And you have no right, whatsoever to just invade somebody's premises without being invited.
I mean, if there were terrorist activities in that house, you don't even allow. If they were manufacturing bombs, no, you wouldn't even allow a tip, because that would be intrusion.
If you suspect I am committing a crime within my premises, you go to police or security or officials and you report. You don't just invade me in my house.
Is there a law in this country that prevents a private person from hiring a house, which was vacant yesterday, today for 1 day, for 1 night? Is there a law which prevents that? Now, you cannot say that simply because I hired the house for 2 weeks towards election in a place, therefore I am a criminal. Now, if you suspect that I'm hiring it for ulterior motives, there are legitimate legal steps you take to verify. It is not just for Mufumbiro and his group to say that house we suspect for being rented for ulterior motives to interfere with the election, and therefore those are criminals. That's not how the law works. That's not how civilized groups work.
And that's how we're not supposed to use the body.
If we did so, if we allowed everybody to interpret the law in Uganda, then there would be no law. That's why it is only courts that interpret the law. That's why it is all. Otherwise, we have a million lawyers. If every lawyer were having their way, as the right interpreters of the law, like from this group,
there's actually only 4,500 lawyers in this country.
That because Mufumbira and Senyonyi have said that there is illegal activity, therefore it is illegal. No, that's not how we do it.
Chris Bright is watching us from Masanaf and says, the stakes were indeed high in Kawempe. No wonder the chopper in the sky and the mambas on the ground. I am watching from Masanafo. Chris Bright. Another viewer here, Benjamin Kampala, says the minister argues that there was trespass in the event of yesterday. If indeed there was nothing abnormal, why did they pluck off number plates of cars parked there? Benjamin in
Because
Kampala.
it was visual.
Another viewer here says, who is this?
It was really a lucky
Felix.
catch.
Yeah,
Felix says,
Whose vehicle was it?
Felix is in
Whose vehicle was
Chitagata,
it?
and Chitagata Sherman says, can the minister update the nation on the training video footage about attempted assassination of our president at a rally? I don't know what this is referring to.
Which one?
Which one?
The other was supporter who nearly. I think is the one they are talking about.
What? I don't know what happened.
At the M7 rally, there is M7 and was a supporter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it means the young boy who... No, it happens that when the president is the president, there are people who struggle to reach out to him, and mainly it is for their own livelihood. Either they have a letter to give him or they want to whisper something. In most cases, they are not necessarily going to assassinate him. So even in Kawempe at the rally, some young man just beat security and ran toward the president, but he was stopped. But I don't think his aim was to assassinate the president. Probably he had an economic or financial issue. He just wanted to raise with the president.
Okay.
So we didn't take it as...
It's an offense. Someone here says it's an offense to remove number plates from your vehicle for illegal purposes. If they are not doing wrong things, why were they suspicious and wanted to fight to the extent of confiscating journalist cameras? There was a reason why Senyonyi and his group entered those premises.
And Senyonyi had the police with him.
Yes,
no, but
you're not supposed to use the bodyguards like that.
No, not
Because
bodyguards.
I have bodyguards, I can invade your home.
He did not
and my
invade.
security starts threatening you.
It was not an invasion.
Are you saying,
okay,
if, like me, if I have my security, I should use my security to arrest you? My guard, my personal guard?
If I commit a crime, no, this is what I say.
Okay, let me say, if I
even by law,
if I have a dispute with you,
yes,
would it be administratively right and command-wise right for me to ask my bodyguards to arrest you?
For as long as it is a personal dispute, that is wrong. That is abuse of office.
So,
and this was not personal. There's no way Joel Senyonyi was benefiting from visiting. And secondly, they opened for him.
No.
okay.
They did not know the person they were opening for. The guard opened for him in your own speech and report.
Itanga scholar has a correction for Mr. Mufumbiro.
Yes.
And he says, even when the police come to check you, to inspect your property, they must come with a warrant. No man is allowed into personal property. It becomes trespass.
We did not descend. We did not descend. We did not descend to that place to arrest people. We descended to that place to stop the criminality.
Yes.
In what capacity?
To stop that is allowed even by you. In the event that I am going, if like I am on this set, if I'm going to speak anything obscene, it is incumbent of you to stop me.
Yeah, because
you get my point.
I am the host of this show.
Even her, she can.
Yes.
It is moral that if she knew. Now,
she cannot prevent you from making a comment
I have said,
because she suspects what you're going to say.
I have said.
That's why I stopped him.
So
a citizen,
if you abuse me,
for example, for as long as you're ready to prosecute me, I have no problem because you have decided.
No,
because even me today here, even here, I can. Even me here, I have the constitutional right to arrest Dr. Waliomonsi here if he is going to break the law.
No,
and
if
then
he is breaking the law.
And then not.
If he is breaking the law.
It's not only if he is, even when he is going to. As long as I'm sure. And then if I fail, if I got him and acted on him, that will be mob justice and illegal. But I can get this Dr. Waliomonsi here and take him to Chida police station and say, no, you are a bit heavy, you eat well. That is different.
We need to be getting out of here.
I want to be clear on this. A citizen has a right to arrest. In fact, my Honorable Salam Musumba gave the real word. Citizen
arrest.
Yes, citizens arrest. And this has been preached. We spent a lot of money.
But Mr. Mufumbiro, I don't think what we saw was the citizens arrest.
No, we did not go there to arrest. We went there to stop them. And indeed we did.
Those of us who have responsibilities and are protected by the state, we are not supposed to misuse the security given it was.
That
They
was
are to
not
protect
misuse.
us. It's misuse.
No.
I cannot, for instance, go out and tell my soldiers, arrest this man because I've done this.
Personal. When it is personal.
That's not their work.
When
Their
it
work
is
to protect
personal.
us. Unless I am threatened, yeah, they can protect me.
He did
But
not
for me,
arrest
He did not
But for
arrest
me-
nobody. He went there to stop
they
them
entered and
from
began intimidating
acting
the
criminal.
occupants of these premises. That's why they
No,
were
no,
defenders.
no.
So,
Gentlemen and lady, I would like us.
that are given to him by
I would
mistake.
like us to get. Hold a moment. I would like
Doctor
us
is
to get
using
an
the wrong
update.
word.
No.
We
I'd like
stopped
us-
them.
No,
We
I
never
insist-
arrested
I insist.
them. We
The leader
stopped
of
them.
opposition abused and misused the security
Thank you.
guards.
That is
Okay,
not
charge
true.
him.
by the
Mr.
state.
Mufumbiro?
Charge him.
Did
in
you
your
say that?
guidance.
Yes,
Did you say
you
that
can.
I can
And
stop
don't-
people
don't
from
accuse-
continuing
You can.
discussions on
The
the
other
floor?
ones
And
who
I've
robbed-
stopped.
No.
Dr. Variomunsi, Mr. Mufumbiro,
That's
That's
Honorable
why they
Salamu
have got the
Sumba,
case with the police.
Mr. Fonoponda, our time is out. We need to get out of this studio. But for our viewers, the updates will continue on Afro Mobile. If you're not on Afro Mobile, please download the Afro Mobile app and you'll be able to continue to get the live updates on the tallying of election results in the Kawempe North by-election that took place today.
Where is the
9
chairman?
candidates, pardon?
Where is the chairman of the Electoral Commission there?
They are showing some images. I don't think the full set is available there. They're still...
They are manipulating, huh?
Manipulating. They are giving themselves 700
They are tinkering.
votes. They are tinkering.
I don't know where you're drawing those conclusions
No,
from.
we
Because
have
I've been,
evidence already.
I was part of
Coming
a
in.
by-election for Mukono
Yes.
of
Namboze.
Namboze, and I know what happens at midnight.
They are tinkering.
Did Namboze win?
Yeah.
She did.